Hello. No Mr. Cove today. Today it's just going to be Chris. Today, while I was at work, I was thinking about the video that I was planning on making, and instead, my thoughts were dominated with the recent tragedy that occurred yesterday. So instead, I'm going to make a video about that. There were some things in the media that I was very disappointed in, so I did want to comment on that. Now, I want to make it clear this is not a political channel, nor is it going to become one. While I do watch the news and keep up with things, I don't think that I have either the knowledge or put in enough thought into political issues to give any value to giving my opinion, on a YouTube video or on the internet. So this is probably just going to be a one-off, and I just have a strong opinion about basically the one issue that I have here. So Charlie Kirk, who was a conservative activist, speaker, influencer, was at a speaking event yesterday at a Utah college, and he was shot and killed. Now, he was only 31 years old. He leaves behind a wife and two kids who were also at that event. And as of now, we do not know who killed him. They did take a couple of people into custody early and ended up not being the people responsible. So, first of all, I don't really care what the motivations of this killer was. I don't want to read his manifesto or know his name or know what he looks like. I feel like making these people famous is just part of the problem. Now, in this case, the fact that he escaped and we don't have any of these things, I do think that this was a little different than a shooting where the shooter is trying to get notoriety and become famous through the event, and it's basically a murder-suicide type of thing. Those people I specifically don't want to know anything about because, again, I think that's part of the point of why they do it. So there are crazy people everywhere, on the left, right, center, in other countries. So there is a mental illness epidemic, but I don't want to know why this guy did what he did. I don't care. To me, this is an attack on free speech and the First Amendment. And that's what I care about it. And that's how I'll characterize it. I also don't want to have the narrative that, um, the speeches that he had caused this to happen, nor do I want to talk about how, it's assumed that it was someone on the left that did this, and therefore, uh, uh, there's some sort of narrative about how the left is inciting violence, and that's why this happened. I know there's going to be a ton of that, but to me, this is a crazy person who committed murder. So unless it develops that this was a conspiracy, multiple people involved, and it was a bigger story than just one person deciding to do a horrible thing, I don't want to know anything about that person. So that's my stance on that. Hopefully they'll catch them soon. But as of now, Thursday, the following day, they have not caught him. So, so what I saw in the media that bothered me was basically blaming Charlie Kirk for this happening. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not real familiar with Charlie Kirk. I certainly knew who he was. I've watched some of his stuff. I haven't searched out his content. And so, despite not having the totality of his views and opinions, I do feel like I saw enough to be comfortable saying that I mostly disagreed with the things that he said from what I saw. So that is coming from someone with that perspective or opinion. I think we should all be appalled that someone was silenced and that this is an attack on our free speech and First Amendment rights. And this certainly isn't unique. We've had this happen many times in our country and other countries and throughout history. So I do understand that, the opinion that it was dangerous what he was doing, that's probably true. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be, but that's probably true. But that doesn't change the fact that he's just the victim in this, and that he didn't have it coming, or cause this to happen. Now, I'd love for the tribalism of this to be calmed down. Again, I think this is one crazy person, and there's crazy people everywhere that murder for all kinds of reasons. So I don't think that it's Charlie or the right's fault that this happened. And I certainly don't think it's the left that put him in danger with their rhetoric. Now, it doesn't mean that people shouldn't be careful with how they speak, especially in positions of power. Might not help, but you're not going to cause a sane person to go murder someone like Charlie Kirk by, not being real careful with your words. That's a crazy person and a murderer. So let's be clear about that. So the other thing I'd like to say here is that all of us that are kind of in my position where we disagreed with much of what Charlie Kirk said, I think we should still consider this tragedy and terrible for our country. This was someone exercising their free speech as a job, and whether you agreed with them or not, we should all appreciate his right to do so. So this was not his fault. He did not deserve this, and I hope that we can all come together, or most of us that agree with being able to speak like this, agree with that sentiment. And then the reasons for his killing, again, let's write that up to a crazy person and not blame either side for this event happening. This is probably just one individual, and there's a lot of crazy people out there. So I'd love to be able to just fix mental illness and not have these murders happen. But if we ever get to that point, it certainly isn't soon. So trying to find the root cause and put blame somewhere, I think is very unfair. And we should just be sad that this happened instead. So that's about it. This wasn't a video that I planned on making. Probably be a one-off as far as any kind of political point of view here. But I just was very disappointed that blame was being put on himself or, others, instead of just acknowledging that this is one person doing a horrible thing. Okay, that's about it. Best wishes to all of you out there, and thanks for listening.